Well, it's hard. It's a challenging thing to do, and that's coaching in the Southeastern Conference. And Sam Pittman hit on this. And this is what he said about Kirby Smart and his success at Georgia. He said, to consider you will coach somewhere in the SEC for 10 years, you are a fool. Kirby Smart, Mike Stoops. That's it in this league. You have to look at it from year to year as to how you are doing. So, Sam was at Georgia in the formative time of Kirby's tenure in Athens. And I know there's a quick story about, Sam Pittman and what he viewed the future to be, not just and this is what Georgia, Kirby, all of them, they wanted these big, huge offensive linemen. And they didn't have that. When they came in, they had guys who would get out on the edge, run, angle block. It was different than the style that they do now, or that they did at the time, particularly. And what Kirby and Pittman and so forth wanted to do was maul people. Well, at first, it didn't work at all. In 2016, if you remember, that team was not equipped with maulers. It had guys like Greg Pike who, and I mean this in a very disrespectful way. This guy played lacrosse. This is a guy that is not a power guy. They had Brendan Kublano, who was, not a power guy in the way that they had over time. These guys were athletes that played offensive line. And I know some of the guys, I might get text messages about this one. I know some of the guys that have played there since and even before would say, well, I'm an athlete, I'm just a bigger person. But they wanted to change. And so Pittman goes to Andrew Thomas and some of the guys in that first recruiting class that got them ready for 17 and beyond. He said, you're going to be my left tackle. You are the left tackle at Georgia. And that's kind of how he recruited them. And, after the success that Georgia had in 17, 18, and then 19, Sam got the Arkansas job, and then before the 2020 Sugar Bowl, it was played for the 19 season. Sam went on to Arkansas, and Georgia at that point went to a new offensive line coach, and they had a lot of success there. But what Sam is talking about, this is the way he was out at Georgia. He just realistic, man. I mean, I'm trying to think of how many coaches have been at different schools since Kirby got to Georgia. Just take Florida as an example, and I could get some of these wrong. And McElwain, Mullen, now you have Billy Napier. So that's 3 coaches in 9 seasons. South Carolina, year 1 was Will Muschamp. And then they went to Shane Beamer. They've had 2 at South Carolina. At Tennessee, you have Butch Davis, Jeremy Pruitt, and now Josh Heupel. They've had 3 coaches in 9 seasons there. Alabama's had 2. Vanderbilt in that time has had 2 or 3. I can't remember if it's 3. You get my point. Stoops at Kentucky has done a good job up there. They are aggravated with him. I can tell you that right now. Kentucky's aggravated with him, the fan base. And it's probably time, but we'll see. I mean, Kentucky kind of forgets how bad it was before Mark Stoops too. But when you've been dating somebody for a while, sometimes it's time. That goes to show, we are 10 years into this with Kirby. This is the 10th year. And just real quick, as we start our 10th year, we got a great offer at Dawg Post. You can get 3 months of Dawg Post as well as the magazine included when you sign up for our awesome offer below. It's going to be the only link I have below. I don't know if I can get it on the screen or not, but make sure you're taking advantage of this awesome offer. Take advantage of it. I got magazines for folks who sign up for this as well as annual subscribers. Take advantage now. Season, practice starts on Thursday. So let's make sure you're taking advantage of this now. We'll have all sorts of reporting for you on Thursday as well, riding home, Ryan and myself, getting you ready for everything you'll hear from Kirby and so forth. But make sure you're a subscriber. That's why you're going to get Leggy Stars. You're going to get Final Feelings. You're going to get what we're hearing. I'm going to have a great one on Sunday. We're going into year 10 here. And, going into year 10 for Mark Richt at Georgia, he was, there was some pressure there going into 2011. They needed to win the SEC East. And they did. They did. They won the SEC East. But there's not substantial pressure on Kirby Smart in any way. I think that goes to show how good of a job that he has done at Georgia. And, when you think about that original staff, he just did such a good. Sam Pittman is probably the best offensive line coach in the country. He happens to be a head coach now, but he is the best offensive line coach in the country. That's the word. Okay, that's what people think. There are other really good ones, but he is known as the best one. I think Sean Elliott did a really good job at South Carolina. There's guys that are out there, but at the end of the day, if you're going to be a head coach, you've got to not just arrange your staff, but you've got to deal with boosters. You've got to deal with recruiting. You've got to deal with raising money. To be honest with you, not just for at this point the institution, but the players themselves, perhaps. There's a lot going on with being a head coach. Kirby Smart showed how ready he was to be a head coach by taking the first year and essentially listening and taking from that all of that data in 16 and then combining it with the on the job training that he had in 16. And you saw what happened in 17. He recruited Nick and Stoney to come back, to have Bellamy, etc. And then they took off from there. But that does not happen. That does not happen without, what Sam Pittman did recruiting-wise to set them up to have the right tackle and left tackle combination that they had in 2017. They had first-round NFL draft picks on the edge in 17. They had a superstar running back in Nick Chubb. They had about as good a running back as you're going to get for the pro game in Sony Michel as the 1A or 1B. I wouldn't call him Nick's backup necessarily. They were insane. They were both ones. So they had a lot of talent. And getting back to the whole discussion of how long can you do this for? Not long. It just doesn't last long because it's hard to have the success Dabo Swinney's had at Clemson. It's hard to have the success. I don't really know who else is out there at this stage. Kirby, Dabo. I think at this stage, even though he's only been there since 19 or 18, I think Ryan Day. I think James Franklin's had a lot of success. He's just not had the ultimate success, and we'll see if he ever gets there. I'm skeptical, but we'll see. And then there's a lot of turnover. Lincoln Riley's been a successful coach, but not super successful. Not the way, say, Steve Spurrier or even Mark Richt, to be honest with you. Lincoln Riley in the Big 12 did a lot of really good things, and every time he got to the playoff, he'd lose. Mark Richt didn't get a playoff to play in. And here's the other thing, too, is, does that 02 team win the national championship if they get into a playoff? Does the 07? I would say probably, to be honest. That 07 team caught fire, got hot. They were a really good team. And they had an exceptional quarterback. They had exceptional running backs, plural. People talk about Noshawn. Noshawn was awesome. Thomas Brown was really good. They had very good receivers. The offensive line is not even close to what the offensive lines are now at Georgia, but that's because of what Kirby brought with Sam Pittman, etc. That's the thing. Having success is not exclusively about the players. That is the majority of it. That is, you cannot win games without players. But I think what Sam is saying is right. You are in a limited amount of time at any institution. And, what he did at Arkansas was get them back to being reputable. I was there that day that they, pushed Georgia in 20. I was there that day when they got just drilled in 21. But, Arkansas has had some success with Sam Pittman. It's not been unbelievable, but they've had some success. They've won 3 bowl games. That's just not been a lot of success at Arkansas to begin with. And I'm not suggesting he should stay. He's got a losing record by one game. They got to win more, but it's tough in this league to be Arkansas, to be South Carolina, to be Kentucky. And so when you have the highs like Sam had in 21, like Shane Beamer had in this past season, you got to really celebrate those because it's hard to sustain those things. And and when you go up a peg in the league to like a Tennessee or Auburn, then there's higher expectations. You got to beat your rivals. Then you got to get the college football playoff. And then when you get a peg higher than that and you get to the Georgia, Bama, Texas, LSU level, so to speak, then it's, are you winning national championships or not? I mean, Kalen DeBoer and Brian Kelly and Stark are going to be judged on, do they win the national championship the next 3 or 4 years or not? And Kirby Smart will be judged the same way. But it is hard to win in this league. It's hard to do it. Take advantage of the offer we've got for you. Football is here.